All right, what's up, everybody? This is Will from Flow Candy. Today, I'm breaking down Wild deodorant. So this is a deodorant company that was just acquired by Unilever for about 100 million pounds. This was announced 2 weeks ago on April 1st. So I figured it'd be a good time to unpack what the email marketing looks like for a challenger brand in this sort of personal care category that gets eventually acquired by a by one of the biggest consumer packaged good conglomerates in the world, Unilever. Um, I've also benchmarked them against two other competitors, I would say, in this category. Now, what makes Wild different is there's a couple different things, but really it's like a reusable deodorant. And there's other competitors in that space. I'm not going to benchmark them against them per se. I'm going to benchmark them against a couple different sort of scaled up challenger brands, I would say, in the deodorant category that are not necessarily reusable. So one would be Native Deodorant, which is a brand that was acquired by Procter and Gamble for $100 million, about $100 million a few years ago. And so I will benchmark them against them. And then I'll benchmark them against Loom, which is sort of this body on deodorant that is really trending right now in retail, online. They also have it's more of a women's focused brand, but they have an adjacent men's brand called Mando. I'm not going to be breaking that one down, just Loom, but I figured these are all three of these are what I would say like really sort of fast growing challenger brands in this category. So let's dive in. So what's interesting is like they're all about the same size. Okay. When you look at Wild's traffic, Native's traffic, Loom's traffic, like it's all pretty similar. And I think like, so Wild is also like a UK brand, and Native and Loom are American. So I think I'm just doing the US traffic here, or maybe I'm doing all worldwide traffic. So there might be a little bit of, the data might not be perfectly 1-to-1 here, but they're like all very, very close in size, which I found very, very interesting. Normally you have one that's sort of like clearly a market leader or something like that. When I look at these and I pull up the category or brands that are sort of adjacent to each other in the category, there's like one or two that clearly stick out, and there's like, a bunch sort of towards the tail end. These are all three of these brands are very, very close. I mean, they're right around 3 to 4 million in traffic. And Wild actually has more of an Instagram following. In terms of frequency, so Wild is sending about 10 emails a month. Native is sending about 11 emails a month. Loom is sending about 18. So more or less, I just benchmarked their 2024 emails, like how many emails they sent in 2024. People always ask about the tech stack. So all three of these brands are using Klaviyo to send email, to send their campaigns, do their flows, do their automation. I had a little bit harder time figuring out their SMS marketing platform. I'm taking wild guesses here. So Wild, I feel like they're either doing Klaviyo SMS or Recard SMS. Native is using Klaviyo, and I confirmed they're using Postscript as their SMS marketing platform. And then Loom, I think, is using Klaviyo as well for SMS. So that's a little bit about the tech stack. Let's jump into the the messaging strategy, and who I actually have benchmarked as the highest in this category. So I actually have Loom over Wild over Native, which is interesting. I probably would have guessed it would be Native, just because I think they're the longest one in this category. They have a very, very well-known founder, who is, I always Moise Ali, like he's very, very smart. I mean, he is long gone from this brand, but I think he has left a couple months, maybe a year after the Procter and Gamble acquisition. So I'm not sure how much energy, how much his fingerprints are still on this brand, but I figured that would like carry over for a couple years, but no, and honestly, like anything over 10 is pretty good in my book, you know. And this is not always like the perfect um, scorecard for necessarily how much revenue a brand is making from email marketing. Um, it's just I don't have access to all their dashboards, so I sort of have to benchmark them on, okay, like what are the angles that they're sending, and what is like the like how like balanced is that, well balanced is that. And I think that Loom, I mean, all these guys are doing things that I really like to see. Like they're doing product launches, they're doing product focused emails, they're doing collection focused emails, they're doing social proof emails. All three of them are doing text based emails. We see a lot of brands sort of that I work with in my agency, Flow Candy. They're like, I don't want to do text based emails. That's off brand. But the funny thing is, like, they're really easy to deploy. They almost always make just as much revenue as the heavy D2C styled emails. And a lot of the biggest brands do them. Like if these three brands that are all over $100 million, two of them have been acquired. I'm not sure what happened with where Loom is at, but two of them have been acquired by two of the biggest consumer packaged good companies, conglomerates in the world. They're doing text-based emails. You're like, D2C startup that's doing, $1 million a year that has this very elevated design style can definitely do text-based emails too. There were a few things that I really liked about Loom. I think that the reason why I benchmarked them a little bit higher. One is they do a lot of stuff like trending bundles. They do a lot of FAQ emails. They do a lot of stuff around subscribe and save that I like build your bundle, get on a subscription. I mean, they don't say it like that, but there's a lot of that energy in their email marketing. I think they also highlight their customers better too. Like you'll see a lot of their customers are featured in their email. There's a lot of social proof around that. And so it's sort of putting the customer at the center. Some people would look at a brand like Loom, who are more design focused, and be like, I don't like these design. It's a little bit too promotional. And that is true. They do send a lot more promotional emails, like a lot of 25% off, or get five for 50 or something like that. These like heavily promotional emails. They're also sending almost double the amount of emails as these other two brands. But I think when you really think about it, they also are mixing in a lot of other things other than just promotional stuff. And if I had to guess, I would probably say maybe not in terms of like total revenue, because I don't know the size of the lists of both of these brands, all three of these brands. My hunch is Native would probably be the biggest list, just because they've been around the longest, and they've also acquired by Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble took it and they launched like all these other products, like body wash and moisturizer, while these companies, Loom and Wild, have stayed mostly in like the deodorant category. I think Wild has branched out a little bit, but yeah. So I mean, I would, and Native's just been around longer, so my hunch is their list is probably bigger. But when you look at the traffic, it's about the same. The Instagram followers, it's about the same. But if I had to guess per percentage, like percentage of revenue, like D2C revenue, I would guess that Loom has the highest in terms of email marketing, just because the amount of promotional emails they send, the frequency that they send at, and the fact that their list size is similar, I would guess, to these other brands. Okay, so that was sort of who I picked as the winner. But still, again, anything over 10 is pretty good in my book. Anything over 15 means you're doing some pretty elite stuff. So let's jump into actual Wild, what they're doing. So I'll just start from January. So this is a promotional email, and I will go through each angle here. This is a social proof email, what I would categorize as social proof email, where you're showing the reviews. You could also categorize this as a promotional email, because they have it's like crossed out. It's pricing. It's like a price anchor here. You could talk about how this is a potentially, I don't know the segmentation, but maybe they sent this to a segment that abandoned the cart. So there's that. This is a limited edition product focused email. Right before Valentine's Day in January 2024. Let's move into February. So again, very seasonal around Valentine's Day, limited edition, collection-based email. This is a social proof email. Also could be, I don't really count scarcity as an email, but they're leaning into that scarcity tactic here. But it's heavily like social proof oriented with the testimonials, talking about their customers, and showing a couple different products. This is like a giveaway email, referral email. I don't really track referral emails, but I do track like contests, giveaways. So, another angle here that they're leaning into. I think of all of these as angles, promotional content, back in stock, FAQ, subscribe and save. So I just talked about, all these, every brand, most brands are doing promotional emails. A lot of brands are doing product launch or product focused emails. The one I just talked about was social proof. So that's that. This is, again, limited edition. This is a We Missed You. I actually categorize this as a win back. Now, this could be the actual win back flow. We're not sure, but it could also be a win back campaign. These are all promotional. Come on, let's go down. All right, let's move into April here. Okay, heading into April. This is April 2024. We have, again, more collection-based email. This is a product launch email, new since. This is a promotional email, refer a friend email, although I don't track referrals. I should probably add that in, but you could also call this social proof. Moving into May 2024, limited edition. Social proof here. Back in stock. This is another limited edition. This is Fresh Summer Long, more collection-based, promotional, Amazon Prime Day. Moving into August, back to school, promotional, new product launch. September, we got promotional. We've got new limited edition product launch. More on-brand, limited edition, this is clearly a social proof one right here. This is a big social proof email. Look at that. Like the H1 is a testimonial. More testimonials down here. Over 50,000 star reviews. So they really, and they're showing, it's more like a body wash, like collection focused social proof email. So that one is interesting. Now we're getting into Black Friday. This is, where it's going to be heavily promotional, but they also show this is like a content email. They were one of the only ones that did like content. And actually, so I mean, like that was interesting. Just showing it's not all just product based, they're doing more top of funnel stuff here, but yeah, obviously moving into November, it's going to be heavily Black Friday, holiday promotion. Here's the text-based email they sent in December. So again, they're doing that. Gift guides, Prime, like more retail-focused emails. Heading into January this year, this is like a refillable maybe, or a replenishment email. I scored it as that. A lot of this is like new product launch, product focused email, promotional email, promotional replenishment, new collection, getting ready for date night. Again, this theming around Valentine's Day, the theming around the Super Bowl. Then they have this a retail focus email. They're heading to Target, and again, these are just the U.S. based emails. They're actually a UK first brand, so it could be different. I kind of looked at it. It looks like they were kind of using the same sort of a lot of the same emails, but yeah, this is just the U.S. So you can see like they landed in Target. This is a Target, more U.S. based Target retail promotion email. Yeah, so a lot of good stuff going on. I benchmarked them really, really high. I think I might have missed one too. I think I saw a contest email here. And there's another one I saw they were doing. Maybe it was a chair. I forget what it was. But yeah, I mean, they are right up there with Loom, who I would categorize as probably the leader. But yeah, I mean, so this is really dialed in. And what's really impressive to me is, again, having to do this for multiple sort of storefronts, where you're having to manage a UK store and a US store, and you're still benchmarked really, really high. It's hard enough just to score above, 10, 15, just managing one store, yet alone they're doing it two different email marketing accounts, where they're managing the UK side of the business, or the EU side of the business, and the US side of the business. So that's my analysis of Wild. Really cool brand. I just love their packaging too. I mean, it's just some of the best. I would say, Native. I've always liked Native's packaging. It's very clean, and minimal, but there's just something really, really cool about this. The fact that you get this like really cool metal case, you have it and you can refill it. So yeah, it's really, really, like a really, really cool brand. So anyway, that's it. You made it this far. I think they have some other resources. So you have the swipe file. I've linked to that. You have my benchmarking analysis, the video. People always ask me too if they want me to break down and benchmark your email marketing. I'm always happy to do that. It could help you get clear, find the gaps, find new ideas, and really hopefully increase your sales. So if you're interested in that, you can always schedule a call with me here to learn more. And, I'm happy to talk about it, answer any questions, talk about timeline and pricing and stuff like that. So thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for the next breakdown. Cheers.